What's going on, everybody? This is Jaden with How to Apple again, and welcome back to another episode of Apple Talks Tech, the podcast. And today I actually have a special guest. His name is Iñaki Bonorino Gotelli, right?
Yeah, correct.
Me and Iñaki met. Actually, he found my page in one of my videos on YouTube and added me on Snapchat, and we've just been talking ever since. And man, this guy is a pretty cool creator. He has his own podcast, which I'll link all that stuff up in the show notes and everything. And I'll give him a chance to introduce his own self and all that stuff. So I just wanted to bring him on the show. I've actually already been a guest on his show. So, just want to return the favor. And he is an avid Apple user as far as I know. So we're going to talk about that today. But Iñaki, man, if you want to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about what you got going on and,
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity, Jaden. I really wanted to thank you for this. I'm 15 years old. I was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I moved to the United States when I was like 9-10 years old. And I really got into computer science and computer development when I was around 10, 11 years old. And I started learning to code. I launched my first app when I was 14 years old. And I've been developing since. Now I have 3 apps on the App Store and a podcast. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, man, that's pretty beast. And honestly, man, I'm inspired by just how you do everything. I mean, you being so young, you remind me of myself, to be honest, because I was into a lot of stuff, learning Spanish and learning sign language and everything, and I was into computers and into app development, all that kind of stuff. So and I want to apologize to anybody else who's in the podcast, because if you hear my baby crying in the background, you're just gonna have to excuse that, because hey, running a YouTube channel and trying to do all this stuff while having a newborn is actually pretty challenging. But Iñaki, man, how was your Christmas? Just want to start off like that, man.
Christmas was good, relaxed, spent it with the family, pretty chill. How was yours?
That's good. It was pretty good. I literally didn't buy anybody anything. I'm not sure if that makes me a Grinch, but like Christmas Eve, like at 11:30, it like finally hit me. It's like, it's almost Christmas. Wow, this is actually Christmas Eve. And me and Tiffany was like, it does not feel like Christmas at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But in this podcast, man, I wanted to talk about, of course, this is How to Apple. So we're going to talk about Apple. And I wanted to first ask you, how did you get into Apple? And just let me know what Apple devices you actually use.
So I got into Apple when I was around 6-7 years old. I got my first iPod, the iPod 4th generation. And I've been using it ever since. I got into really, when I moved to the United States, I really got into Apple and development and stuff like that. I use iPads, my home iPad, the one that I use to like write notes and stuff like that. My school iPad, because I go to an all iPad school, so we just use everything. We do everything in the iPad, no paper and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And my MacBook to develop, and my iPhone, which is like my everything, text, everything.
I know, right? I am like, iPhone is like my little buddy.
Yeah, for real.
So that's pretty cool. So you use the Apple Pencil?
Yeah, for school.
Nice. How do you think the Apple Pencil changes the way you use the iPad?
It's so much cleaner. It's so good. It's like so easy to write on a screen. It makes it look like seamless, like if I were writing on paper.
Yeah,
and,
for real.
I don't have to use paper. My backpack is super light, and the iPad just changed the way I interact with my schoolwork and the way I work in general.
Yeah, man, the Apple Pencil. And when I was actually on the edge of buying one, now question: do you have the iPad Pro? Or do you have the? Well, let me say,
no.
Do you have the second generation or first generation or what?
I have iPad 6th generation, the normal one, the one that's $329.
Oh, that's nice. So you got to plug in your app, your pencil through the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh man, I hate that.
I know, but iPad Pro is a little too expensive right now.
Nice. Yeah, man. When I went to Best Buy and I was gonna see about getting the Apple Pencil. And man, she was like, I was on the edge, and I just wanted to buy it just for my YouTube channel. And I was on the edge, and she was like, yo, this Apple Pencil changes the game. I'm like, is for real? Is it that serious? And she was like, yes. So I tried it out a little bit. I was like, okay, it's pretty nice. I got it.
Apple Pencil changes everything.
For real,
for
man.
Me at least.
I bought it, and I used to have these humongously thick notebooks just to write all my ideas down and, business model stuff and all that stuff for How to Apple. Getting this has really just has helped me tremendously. And I got a bunch of scribbles in my notes app.
Yeah, that's the way that what I think the purpose behind Apple and their creation behind all of the products that they created is to help us, the consumer, get our stuff done.
Yeah, for real. And on that note, I want to dive into some productivity and stuff like that, and just how we use our Apple devices, getting stuff done and everything like that. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick little coffee break, and we will be right back. For those of you watching or listening, if you're watching on YouTube, you won't really notice it. We'll just take a little snippet of the video. So be right back. And welcome back. Now that I got my little coffee break in there. So we were talking about how Apple designs their products to help people get things done, productivity and stuff. So give me a few examples on it and what devices you use and how you use them to get the stuff done that you need to get done. You got school life, you have home life, you have your business stuff you're doing, your content creation stuff. So how do you use your Apple devices, I almost said iPad, to get all that stuff done, or how does it help you?
Yeah, so my main two devices are the iPad and the Mac. On my Mac, I literally just type every single essay I could ever write. And on my iPad, I just do all my schoolwork. We have a program that we can submit our assignments through and our tests and stuff like that. So I just use the iPad. And for home life, I just use it to play games or to watch Netflix or stuff like that. And school is just to submit my assignments and get them done on Notability or in GoodNotes. I'll use either one. And for work life, I'll write down ideas. I'll write down podcast scripts and messages that people want me to answer, or a topic. And it helps me organize my ideas and the way I work. And my Mac, it's my powerhouse. It's my everything. I code my apps. I edit my podcasts. I submit my podcasts. I write my essays. I send messages. My Mac is my everything for now.
Nice.
The product that helps me to get everything done.
Yeah, I feel you on that one, man. Now, do you use any of the default apps as far as reminders, calendars, any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely everything. I use reminders, calendars, Pages, Keynote, iMovie. No, I use Final Cut, never mind. And, but the trial version, and I don't tell anybody, but I'm using the trial version and I keep on rebooting it, so I change the passcode of something, so I have Final Cut Pro for free.
I like that you said don't tell anybody, this podcast is completely between me and you.
I know.
That's funny. Yeah, man, actually, and I use my stuff like crazy. Oh my gosh, just the way iCloud works, it allows me to sync everything up, my reminders and everything, and my notes. I love it. But speaking of Final Cut Pro, I was using iMovie, and as you guys know, if you are connected to my YouTube channel, my beginning videos was with iMovie. And I like iMovie, it's good, it's free, but I found a way on YouTube how to get Final Cut Pro for free, and it's how to crack the code. I don't know, some little program you got to download, whatever. I'm not endorsing you to go do that. However, you do you. Not everybody got $300 to drop on some Final Cut Pro, so hey, do what you got to do. But anyway, so I was using that for a while. Well, the story behind how I got it for free, actually, I bought my Mac Pro because I had an iMac 27-inch 2011, and it just could not really run 4K videos. So I had to get an iMac Pro because I wanted to have something that would edit 4K like butter. I didn't want to be struggling. I didn't want my productivity to be, dampened because of my machine. Well, I bought a refurbished iMac Pro, and I guess whoever bought it before me, before they sent it back or whatever, they must have bought Final Cut Pro with the machine. And I believe when they do that, they tie the program to the serial number of that machine. So when I actually was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and buy Final Cut Pro. So I was like, let me just eat up the cost. I mean, I already spent this much money on this thinking iMac Pro.
Yeah.
Might as well go ahead and do it. So I went, and then when I went to buy it, it said install. I was like, oh, hold up. You know what that means? So I went ahead and installed it, and it added to my account. And I was like, well, bless the Lord, shoot. So I'm like, yeah, bro. But I use my Apple devices all the time for productivity. I mean, I use all the default apps just because they work seamlessly with everything else. I don't want to. Have you ever used Evernote?
No.
Well,
I can't spend money on Evernote.
well, I know Evernote. I don't know if it's costs or not. I know I used to use the free version, but I do know you got to install the program on everything, and then it syncs that way. I just don't want to have to install anything. I want to just be able to pull out my device and use it without having to set it up on any other stuff, whatever. So that's why I use Apple. Now, how do you feel about the way Apple designs their UI and everything versus like Android? If you were to try to use Android, you can't really use Android all the way unless you get like a Chromebook or something, but you would probably have a Windows machine, you probably have an Android phone, you might have like an Android tablet. How do you see trying to be productive with those technology or whatever, with those devices, as opposed to your Apple stuff?
You see, the thing about Apple is just the ecosystem, and the word that everybody uses, the ecosystem of Apple, iCloud, AirDrop, the way you connect your iPhone to your Mac, and your Mac connects to your iPad, and your Apple Watch now with your iPhone. It is so seamless. Everything connects. Everything seems to be like, everything's connected, like in a line. And Android is not there yet. They're not in that process of like being able to connect everything the same way Apple does. And the thing that Apple does really well, and like, congratulations to the marketing strategy genius that was able to do this, was just keeping everybody in that ecosystem. They lured you to buying a Mac, and then an iPad, and then the AirPods that go with the iPhone, and they just like keep you in that ecosystem. And I mean, everybody loves the ecosystem. Everybody loves how everything connects with each other. And the other thing is, I am basically forced to use a MacBook because I can't code for iOS apps without a Mac. It has to be an Apple computer for me to be able to code. And to any developer, they know the struggle when you want to launch an app on the iOS App Store. You gotta use a Mac.
Yeah.
So
that's very true, man. And speaking of the ecosystem, man, that mess is ridiculous. Apple, not only are they making money with the devices, of course, but they're making I'm not sure if it has changed, but as far as I know, it's not. 30% of every app that's sold and in-app purchases, all that stuff, they get 30% of everything. So they are making buku's money just from the apps that these developers such as yourself create. So the greater the apps are, the more money they make, of course, but it also gives the developers a platform because, I mean,
absolutely. For $100, you can launch as many apps as you want in 1 year.
Exactly, and
it's crazy.
You make that money, and then as many people that have iPhones in their hands, those are all your market. Like you can, you know what I mean. The better Apple does, and the more hands that they're in, that's more people you can reach with your app. So it's a win-win. I mean, you giving 30% of your revenue, but hey, I mean, look at how much of the market.
But I mean, you can. Exactly, and the other thing is they cannot take ad money. So developers can choose to advertise on ads, and Apple cannot touch that money. So
really? I didn't know that.
That's where most developers are. Most developers are heading that way right now with the ads and stop using the in-app purchases. But if you find the in-app purchase to be profitable, losing 30% will not change much from you.
Wow, I didn't know that. Now my app was like 99 cents, and it was still selling some good stuff. But I was thinking about making it free and doing ads, but the way my app was designed, you want to pull it out at the moment that you need it for something, and you don't want to have to look through an ad in that moment because you're probably like in a heated discussion or something. But when I was talking about the ecosystem, isn't it amazing? Like you said, they lure you in to get one thing, and the next thing you know, you're like surrounded by Apple stuff.
Absolutely.
And what I think is funny too, because I'm looking all over Steve. I'm not, well, whatever you want to call it, Steve Jobs, Tim Cook. I've just been all up on that for a hot minute. But now I got this Apple card, and before anybody talks about finances and credit cards are bad, which they are, Iñaki, you are 15 years old. You have the golden opportunity to stay away from debt. Like, bro.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Credit cards, yeah.
Do not make stupid decisions and take out loans and go, well, I'll just pay. Do
Absolutely.
not, bro. I'm telling you from experience, bro. If I could start where you are now and have the knowledge I have now, of course, bro, I'd be a millionaire by the time I'm 20. But yeah. I did get the Apple Card, and I use it to pretty much, I pay my bills with it actually, but I already have my budget set up. Like I have a budget with all my bill money already, and I just pay it with the card, get my cash back, and pay off the card immediately. So no balance sits up there.
That's what they do so well. The way the software works with the Apple Card too. I mean, they provide you a service. They make it seem free, and then like they lure you into paying them and giving you the money. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, man, and you got to be careful with that mess, because it'll be like, oh, we get 3% back on buying Apple stuff. Yeah, but you got a 22% APR. It's like, come on, bro.
Exactly.
But it's just another way that they keep people in their ecosystem, and they get you wrapped up. And it's like, man, how can I leave Apple? I got AirPods. I got an Apple Watch. I have an iPad. I have an iPhone. I have a Mac. It's impossible.
Yeah, it's like a girlfriend that cannot get over you, because when you break up with her, they give you the stuff, and then you're like, I can't connect my AirPods with a Samsung. I can't connect my Mac with I cannot get the text messages I got on my Mac with my Samsung anymore.
Oh yeah.
So it's like a girlfriend that got mad at you because you broke up with her.
For real, because iMessage is like, that's make or break right there, bro. Like,
that's the reason I keep Apple. I think.
I'm not for real, bro. Like for real. Like, have you tried sending a video to an Android user on text message, or having them send you
It takes forever. It
takes forever, and it's like pixelated garbage. I'm like, bro, that's ridiculous. Well, when we come back, we're gonna take a quick little break again. I want to ask you to give some advice for developers, or maybe young developers, or just young creators in general, people that are interested in maybe starting the entrepreneurship road, or just starting developing apps. I want you to talk about like how they can make money through making apps, the different ways. I know you can do, like you said, you can do free app, but you can have ads, and the perks to doing those certain things. And then we'll probably close it up. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, so welcome back to the podcast. And of course, again, we have Iñaki here, and he's a 15-year-old hustler on the move, trying to do his thing. And just speaking of your hustle, bro, I want to talk about you being an app developer for Apple. And I just wanted you to explain on how you got into that, and maybe some advice to other people that may be thinking about that, or maybe they're new developers as well, how you make money with it, maybe some business models you can think of to make for that, and just what your plans are with app development, if you could just talk about that for a while.
So yeah, I got into Apple and app development when I was like around 10, 11, and I just started devouring tutorials.
Hold on, wait. Before you go on, your voice is really deep. I mean, I'm sure you probably heard that by now, right?
Yeah,
your voice is deep, but I'm hoping it was not that deep when you were 10 or 11.
No, absolutely not.
But you remind me of one of those kids. You would be the one that me looking up a YouTube video on how to do something crazy, how to hack into this program, and you hear that little 10-year-old kid, okay guys, I'm going to show you how to break into this, and all you got to do is click on it. It's like, bruh, am I getting advice from an 11-year-old kid?
Yeah, I completely understand. Yeah, I get it.
Gosh, all right, you can continue.
So yeah, I got into development when I was around 10, 11, and I just started going through tutorials and learning how to code, and getting a certification for being an Apple teacher, so I could teach other people about Apple products and how to code. And I set up myself to do that, and I never quit, and I kind of liked learning how to code. And then I just started developing and getting opportunities from an opportunity with IBM, so I could be able to develop a program for people in natural disasters. My project was dedicated for missing people, so as soon as somebody goes missing, it goes in the app, and people can start doing a worldwide search. It's kind of like an Amber Alert, just like with the app, and gets more information and stuff like that. Yeah. And then the apps just came something as like interesting. I wanted to be able to create an app to show that I was capable. I was trying to prove other people wrong, that anybody could do anything. And that's what I learned from the podcast and from creating apps too, is that nobody can limit your creativity. Like, there's no limit to creativity either. I mean, you set up your own goals and you get them done, no matter how hard it takes, how long it takes. You see, success is not defined by how long or how hard you work, but when you get there and how you accomplish it is what truly defines you. And I live by that every day.
That's good.
I mean,
that's good.
I work every day. I wake up at 5 in the morning and I get to hustle, and I go to sleep at 9, 10 at night. And it's a hustle that gets me going. Like, looking at that long-term goal that one day I'll be able to be the person I want to be, the developer that everybody wants to hang out with, the super chill kid that everybody wants to be friends with, the podcaster that can just talk to anybody and like have guests and just have fun. And that's what I learned. Having fun and being able to explore new ideas and learn new cultures and learn new things is what really keeps me going every day, and what I wake up every in the morning and do. And for everybody that wants to really create and wants to get into creating, you don't need a fancy camera to start a YouTube channel. You have an iPhone or a phone, a camera in your pocket. You can just start recording. You don't need a microphone to start a podcast, or headphones to start a podcast for that case. You go on Anchor, sponsored, and you go and you start recording with your iPhone, with your microphone in your phone, and you can upload it to millions of people who listen to podcasts every day. You don't need you kind of need a computer to develop apps, but you don't need a super fancy computer that costs $60,000 to develop an app. I mean, my first app was developed in a 2011 MacBook Air.
And quick note, you guys think that $60,000 is an absurd number? Go check out one of my live streams on YouTube. I priced I configured a Mac Pro, the new one, the cheese grater Mac Pro, and it came out to $60,000. So
yeah, I know
that's not a crazy number. But continue.
Apple, they could sell you a toilet and people would buy it too.
For real, a toilet that will sync with you. You can flush it with your iPhone.
Oh my god. And just hustle, just work hard, just reach your goals, set up your own goals and reach them. Don't let any, like, I know it sounds like from a movie and what people tell you, but like, don't let anybody define you. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't reach that goal, because that will actually bring you down. You just prove them wrong. You set in your mind that you're going to prove those people wrong, and you will not stop till you prove them wrong. And that's how we live every day. People that doubt me, people that tell me your apps are terrible, I don't care. I work hard every day and I will improve them with your feedback. And if you wanted to answer your question from people that wanted to start developing and creating apps, if you want to create an app, just like learn to code, or there's repositories online on like GitHub. They give you the opportunity to download the code, the entire app, and you can make it your own. Like from a developer to anybody that wants to be able to code. And this will sound wrong. Copying code is not wrong. Meanwhile, you give credit, and just like like an essay, and you make it your own, and it's something that you're proud of, and something that you work hard with, and something you improve. And that's how basically everything goes in life for me. Just work hard, and as soon as you get your app in the App Store, let me know and I'll download it. To start a business in the app market is kind of difficult, because there's so many competitive apps and so many apps that are already at the top, that you really got to be able to stand out and be able to make your mark in the App Store basically. But you don't need to, like, that number that maybe, like, one of my apps already reached around 2,000 downloads in total, and that number does not define me or the way that I work. It just makes me want to make the apps better and take the feedback that my friends and people give me, so I can make it better and I can reach more people. The point of the app is just not to just make a business out of it. It's just to be able to have fun with it, learn, and give people something in return for what they give for you.
That's good advice.
Paid apps are profitable. Depends on what your app does and how it, like, what you're giving to the user for the money. So you gotta be very careful with the price. Free apps, just a normal free app. Most of my apps are just free apps, and I added the ads part, and because I do the ads and it's from Google AdMob, the money goes it all goes in my bank account, so nobody can touch it and nobody can take that money away from it, not even Apple for that case. So the ads are really profitable when it comes to people just clicking on the ad by accident or just looking at it for a reward or whatever. And that's the main reason. Unless you're doing a social media app and you want to do promotions, then that will be a more complex process because you need to like set up deals and profiles with people, and it's a disaster when it comes to that. But that's my main advice for future app developers. Don't let anybody bring you down though, guys. Just keep hustle.
Yeah, man, that's very true. And guys, it's hard to believe you're 15 years old, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, you, and like I said, you remind me of myself, just because people used to tell me these things all the time, and it never really sunk in. Like, man, you're so mature for your age, and you're so wise for your age, and da-da-da. And just looking at you, it kind of gives me that sense of, wow, is this how people looked at me? You know what I mean? But you really are smart, and you're very wise. And I'm sure your life experiences, because and the guys listening to this podcast, he's not just blowing air. Everything he said, I feel like is truly Iñaki. Like, that's how he is. I mean, I know a little bit about his personal life, and life experiences, they make you tougher, and they help you to define. They help shape who you are. They don't define who you are, but they help shape who you are, because you're able to make decisions based on your experiences in life. And I listened to one of Iñaki's podcasts, and if you guys want to go check that out, as I said, it will be linked in the show notes, and on the YouTube video, it'll be linked in the description below. Find the one where he brings his mom on, and there's a part in there that she's talking about Iñaki, I guess. I don't know what he asked her. He was like, well, what do you think about me? Or what do you think my best quality is, or something? And she said, you never give up on once you put your mind to something, you do it. And she's like, you don't care what people say, you get your mind right, and you are just somebody that really does what you set off to do. And I remember that, and I was like, wow, man, that's just pretty cool that Iñaki's that way. And looking at him and watching him, you really are that way. And everything you said, I believe it to be true, and it's coming from your heart and from your mind, because I hear your mom talk about you on your podcast. So it's definitely awesome, man. I'm really excited for you. And so pretty much we've talked about Apple stuff, we talked about your stuff, we talked about my stuff. I mean, hey, man, this has been a pretty good podcast.
For real, I really enjoyed this. And just a side note, Jaden, like, it's not like I'm trying to be an ad or whatever, but like, Jaden is really somebody that like inspires me to keep going, to like gets me like to keep the hustle going too. And he's like a big bro to me. Like he helps me get stuff done. If I have a question about something, he'll be there for me and help me sort my life out in some tough times. So Jaden's like my big bro that I never had.
Yeah, for real, man. I feel the same way. And if you guys don't know, it's actually because of Iñaki that I am actually doing podcasts right now, and he's actually the reason why I found out about Anchor too. So none of this would even be here if it wasn't for you. So I know we're just like having a little bromance moment. We're just talking about each other on the podcast. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it. But I'm gonna go ahead and close it out, bro. Again, thank you for coming on the live stream. Okay, I'm looking at a camera. That's why I'm saying live stream. And if I say things that are like YouTubey, it's because I'm looking at a camera, and I'm also recording a podcast. So. But thank you for coming on the podcast, bro. And of course, if you guys, no problem. If you guys want to get up with Iñaki, hit him up, man. DM him. He has Instagram. He has Snapchat. He has his podcast. I'm assuming you don't mind people finding you through that.
Absolutely
way, right?
not. No, everything.
Okay. So DM him. He's like me. He will reply to you. He ain't like these other creators. Of course, we're not like millions and millions of subscribers. When I get to that level, I might not be able to reply to everybody. But he'll hit you up if you have any questions. Maybe you guys are thinking about doing app development, or you're just a young teenager that wants some solid influence. Hit Iñaki up. So I just want to thank you for coming on, bro. And I guess we'll close it out. Again, check the show notes, guys. Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching. Give this video a like. Hit up Iñaki. Subscribe to his stuff. And if there's any last words you want to say, Iñaki?
Keep the hustle going, guys. Don't let anybody bring you down. Keep working hard, and subscribe to Jaden's podcast because it's actually really good. I got really sweet deals from Christmas and the podcast last week.
Nice. All right, bro. Well, I'll talk to you later, and see you guys on the next episode. Peace.